facilitating this panel. Today I have two music professionals here with me who will be sharing a little bit more about their stories, how they got to where they are, possibly give you guys some advice you can apply yourselves. So to start off, could each of you introduce yourselves and give a little background of what you do?
I am Lucas Mengelkoch. I am a concert photographer since like 2016 or so.
I'm Jane. I'm a talent buyer at Zora Darling, an underground music venue, and a backstage coordinator at the Fillmore, and produce a festival in Washington.
Perfect. So what made you guys interested in working in your current roles?
I just love music, so I wanted to some way figure out a way to work in the music scene. Uh, I um, I knew early on that I didn't want to be a musical performer, but I still had interest in being in the scene, and I just kind of made my way into concert photography.
I started playing drums in fourth grade, and then my band, Last Import, we started playing like all these big shows around here, and basically just started booking at the garage, and then moved up from there.
All right, so my next question is, what would you say is the biggest challenge in your role? Do you have any pet peeves?
Oh yeah. Um, I think my biggest pet peeve for shooting concerts is not really knowing until the day of or even like hours beforehand if you will be able to shoot the show. You kind of have to be work on the fly, be ready to go whenever.
I think just some of the emails I get sometimes, if bands don't say specific dates or send any links for who they are, or like play constantly because you want to not oversaturate yourselves, or like at the Fillmore, if I don't get their hospitality riders, like until the day before, like super late, like I still haven't gotten ours for tomorrow for the show, so that's always annoying, but.
Nice. So what would you say is the most enjoyable or rewarding in your role then?
The most enjoyable is just being able to see your favorite bands and be able to see them up close for the short amount of time that you're allowed up there. But it's just really cool to be seeing them right smack dab in your face, and then being able to go home with hopefully some of really cool, like awesome shots.
I love just helping, especially the smaller bands that I have at Underground and Zora, helping them like do their first shows in the city. Or like in December, we have these 16-year-olds who it's going to be their first show ever. So I'm helping them like do that so all their families can come see, and it's super fun, especially to just like see these kids play on a real stage and not in like a basement. So I think that's pretty cool.
So what is one misconception people often have about your job or your industry?
I think I'd probably take the misconception that like there's money to be had in it, and at least in concert photography, there is. It's just it's hard to find. You have to kind of find your niche in there, and kind of be willing to tour with bands because a lot of bands are wanting to have their touring photographer with them, and it gives them a little bit more control over what kind of shots and how they look, control of it, the artistic side that way.
I don't really know for my jobs. I guess it's just a lot of emails and a lot of sitting at a desk doing stuff. It's not as like, I mean, it's cool. It's all cool, and I like work the shows still too, but it's just a lot of emails.
So since we're at a university, did you have any college or educational experience, and has it affected your career? Do you have any regrets, or did you find it beneficial?
I have a regret, but that's a whole story that I don't think I'll go into right now, unless you guys want me to later. But I went to school for music business for my associates, and then my media business degree for my bachelor's, and it was definitely beneficial. The classes themselves were amazing, and I got to meet a ton of really cool people. and just the lessons that I learned there were really cool. I got to book one of my, I think my like artists and relations class, I think it was called. I was able to book and help book my first show at the Terminal Bar over Northeast, or is it Northeast? I can't. And that was really cool. It was cool to see the process and like have that excitement of like, oh, we can get this artist. That's really cool. And then the kind of the lows of like, oh, they can't actually make it. And then you try to go with another artist. But yeah, it helped out.
I went to Hennepin Tech for audio for like a second and then dropped out because you don't need a degree in audio. But now I'm currently at Berkeley Online just because I love to learn, but I don't think you really need, I think it's important and it's cool to learn stuff in school and get a degree, but in the music industry, you don't, it's more about experience than anything, and there's a lot of really great books you can read to figure stuff out too.
When I was going to school, I went for music business, but I wanted to go for audio production and sound recording, and like that was actually my favorite part of it. Is like I got to actually be hands-on. I got to be hands-on with the Pro Tools and the computer side that I didn't have at home. So that's kind of funny.
Nice, yeah.
So kind of going off of that, did you always know that you wanted to work in this field, or did your interests change over time?
Well, like I said, it did change over time a little bit. Like I said, I wanted to be an audio producer. I wanted to record bands in a recording studio for a long time, and I had just a couple days of that with my cousin, who let me kind of hang out for a little while. But then that kind of fell away for a little bit there, and then I had a friend that convinced me to DSLR camera a long time ago, and when I bought it, I had set a rule for myself that I didn't want to let it gather dust. So I had been writing for a publication called Mezig, where I still am now, but I was just doing album reviews at the time, and I decided I was going to pivot and asked my editor at the time if I could and he was cool with it, and I kind of been doing concert reviews ever since.
I've always wanted to work in the industry, I think, because I started playing drums, and then I booked my own band's tours and all of our shows for a long time, and I love spreadsheets, so it's just fun, and I love helping bands do stuff. So yeah, there's never really been anything else that I would want to do, I don't think.
Awesome. So now I have some individual questions for all of you to get a better sense of what you do. So starting off with Jane, you've worn many hats in the industry, from drummer to talent buyer to tour manager. How do you decide which projects to take on, and how do you balance your time between these roles?
I just pretty much work all the time. I don't drum too much anymore just because of schedules. But pretty much I'm at all the shows at the Fillmore, and then I book all the shows at Underground and Zora, and then I just go to as many as I can to work them. But yeah, just pretty constantly working.
Nice. So I know you mentioned that you came off your full tour as a tour manager recently. What was the biggest challenge or surprise about life on the road?
So it was only 2 weeks, and it was this piano guy, so it was a really small like stage setup and everything. I think a lot of it was just realizing that how we do things at the Fillmore here and I do things at my venues, not all these rooms are doing. So it was like, usually I reach out to the tours to like make contact with them, but I had to do that as the tour person in all these cities. And then the agency of this guy is also just all messed up. It's a whole thing. So it was just like reworking all the settlements day of. But it was just great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And another one I had for you was, what production details do you think make the biggest difference in a success of a show?
I think making sure that you stay on track every day with set times and everything, and just being mindful of like how long it's taking you to set up. and just any like weird, quirky things you might need to talk to someone at a venue first, or like the other bands, if there's a specific cable that's like not a lot of places probably have, making sure that that's somewhere so you can do your show. But yeah.
Perfect. So now some questions. One question I have for Lucas is, as a concert photographer, how do you network or connect with artists or venues in the industry?
Like Jane said, it's a lot of emails. It's a lot of emailing. It's a lot of Googling what press contacts you can reach out to for each of those bands, and then a lot of finger crossing that you'll hear back from them, and then even more finger crossing that they'll be able to help you. And then if they can't help you, hopefully more finger crossing that they'll be able to point you in a direction that you can go.
Nice. And more like photography gear related, what gear do you typically bring to a show?
Sorry, what?
Like, what gear do you typically bring to a show or recommend to bring?
I've settled on just one camera body, and then it's a Nikon D 750. And my baby lens, the one lens that I absolutely love, is a 20 millimeter lens, f-stop 1.4. Won't necessarily bore you with the details, but it's a wide angle lens, and it allows in a super amount of light, but because of that, the depth of field can be pretty shallow. But I just think that effect is really cool when you get it right. It's a little trickier, but it can be really cool. I have that lens, and I have a more just utilitarian kind of lens where you can get pretty wide, but also you can zoom in some, so it's a little more wide variety of shots for that one. And then I have a lens that I can zoom in even further. It's usually for like near the end of the shows when I'm far away that I can still zoom in and get some close shots with that. I have a lens wipe. I have extra memory cards. You can't ever have too much memory cards. And then, yeah, I keep my bag pretty small because it's easier to lug around. That's pretty much it.
Nice. So when you're planning to shoot a concert, do you plan out certain shots or moments or ahead of time, or do you prefer to shoot more spontaneously and follow the energy of the performance?
It depends on the show itself. I try to be spontaneous and let the energy of the show kind of dictate, but like for my favorite bands that I'll be lucky enough to shoot, I want to be surprised like everybody else about the set list, but I don't want to miss any of my shots. I want to like, I can't think of the word, but like I want to know like what happens when, so that I don't miss the shot. And that entails me looking up the set list beforehand, and then depending on the band and how into them I am, I'll go on YouTube and search their current tour and their live videos and see, okay, so this color is going in for the first song, there's going to be fire in the second song, and then other special effects on the third song. And then there's bands where I'll just kind of wing it, and just I hope to be surprised, and a lot of the time I am.
Yes. Well, that was all the questions that I had. I'd like to open it up to the audience and see if you guys had any questions. I also have some written down, but if anyone would like. Oh, you over there.
When you're on tour, I'm just curious, how do you travel? Like, is it usually like by bus?
So the one I just went on, we did a lot of fly dates because we didn't have very much gear to bring anywhere since it was just grand pianos. And then we like rented cars and drove a couple of the dates. But for like a DIY smaller tour, just usually in like a van. Mm-hmm.
What about for like bigger tours?
So they're usually in buses. Like they have these cool double-decker ones now too. But so like tonight at the Fillmore, we have Blady, and they had one bus for their whole crew. But sometimes they'll have more than that, and then they'll have some in a Sprinter, or they'll have like a semi-truck with them too. But yeah, for those big ones, they have so many vehicles. Yeah.
Anyone else?
What are the biggest artists that you guys have at
So the question was, what are the main artists that you guys had the
Biggest, right?
biggest?
Yeah.
Okay. Biggest artists that you have the work that you've worked with?
I met the Jonas Brothers. I worked for their show. I work for Live Nation and I do running too, and that's a really fun gig. And you just go and like drive artists around and do bus stock and whatever else they need. But so I work at a lot of the arenas and stuff for that too. So I've worked some pretty cool big shows. My festival in Washington, we just had Bratmobile and L7, and then the year before we had Bikini Kill. So those are like really cool to work with, and those I like more than here, I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
Any big hip hop R&B names that you know off the top of your head that you think?
Yeah, we have Dijon coming to Fillmore. I think that's R&B. I could look. We have, yeah, whoever's at Fillmore.
Anyone else? Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, jealous you worked with L7. Love that.
They're so great.
Also, I'm just gonna like get to brass tacks. Do you guys know of people who are like hiring or interning, looking for interns right now in the Twin Cities for music production gigs?
For like, do you want to do like stagehand or like?
Yeah, actually, I was a part of IOXI. I just moved out here from Kalamazoo, Michigan. I just graduated from Western Michigan University as a multimedia arts and tech student, and I was working for IOXI 26 out of Grand Rapids, but like I moved out here because there's just no work anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm waiting to join the stagehand union here. You gotta wait like forever for them to give you an email. I've already called them twice. I couldn't get that email.
Yeah.
Get in this training class which is how to schedule, which I don't know how to do.
Everything's slowing down right now. So I can give you the link after this for Fillmore to stagehand. But we have like a couple shows left this month, and then it's like pretty dead until like March. So I bet a lot of production work and a lot of venue stuff. You'll probably have to wait to get hired because they just don't want to hire you, and then you're sitting doing nothing.
It's just like this summer, you know, I was like, this is the event season. What's going on?
I know it's been really slow this year. It's been weird. Yeah.
Questions? Actually, I'm gonna bring the microphone to you so everyone can hear you better, and can also everyone can hear on the live stream.
So what are some traps that like people who are trying to get into music industry like commonly fall into? You know?
Will you word that different? Or say it again?
What are some mistakes that people who try to get
Oh,
to,
mistakes?
Yeah, who try to get to the music industry, like what is something they like do they talk to like do they just email big artists first or do like things like that?
Yeah, I feel like a lot with like hip hop and R&B too, doing those shows where it's like the pay to play where you have to sell tickets because those are like cool, I get to play this show. Those ones, I mean, you never want to do pay to play, and those are such weird shows, and that's just like, I guess, getting your foot in the door. But I think a lot of artists just oversaturate themselves when they're starting to play, which is just like playing too constantly. And that's good at the beginning for a little bit, but like people don't want to see you. They're not going to pay to see you every week.
I guess on my side of things, it's trying to go for the big bands, shoot them right away. Like try to get a little bit of experience, like when you're first starting out. Shoot some of the like club shows, shoot some of the tougher lighting and stuff, and be able to have that portfolio to show other people to maybe get into those bigger shows.
And that's also good to do if you're an artist and you like to play those local shows and like be like, here's my history, I've played these. If you want to like submit yourself to open for a bigger artist somewhere, they like want to see that you are going to bring people in.
Thank you.
Any more questions? All right. Well, I do have some questions that people submitted ahead of time, so I'll ask those now. So for Jane, what is the biggest difference between a booking agent and a talent buyer? And what are some of the most challenging and frustrating aspects of the job, and what are the most rewarding?
So talent buyer is for a specific venue. So like I'm the talent buyer for Zora Darling and Underground, and then booking agent is you like book tours for bands, and so you're reaching out to multiple cities and doing that for one artist. Um, I mean, talent buying, like I could reach out to artists, and I sometimes do to get them in, but it's just a lot of emails. For booking agents, especially after COVID, like reaching out to these venues and getting them to reply. If you're like a smaller artist and reaching out to like local bands and doing all that stuff, I feel like is a lot harder now than it used to be. Um, but yeah, I think it's just hard to get people to reply and to like send you the necessary information.
I think there was a part of the question I missed. They also asked, what skills would one possess to be successful in either of these roles, and what are the best ways to develop these skills? And what are the various career paths one could take in the music industry outside of writing, production, and performing?
I think good skills are, I mean, just being able to keep up on emails, spreadsheets are great, and just being organized. And like you just wear so many hats. So like I'll help with marketing, and then I advance all the shows, and then I go settle most of the shows at these smaller venues. So just like being able to do anything they like ask you to. What was the other part of that?
What are the various career paths one can take in the music industry outside of music, writing, production, or performing?
I feel like those are the main ones, right?
There's what I do, I guess,
Yeah,
too. I didn't really know it was a kind of a thing until I kind of started it, and like, or I was going to concerts beforehand, and I saw the people that were doing it. If you're not a kind of person that enjoys being on stage, but you are more of like a fly in the wall kind of a person, this allows you to do that, but also be like get that experience of like a concert. And if live concerts is your thing and that part of the music industry, then that it'll allow you to be that person, just have that camera hiding your face and allows you to be yourself. That's kind of why I like it so much.
You can also do merch, and you make a lot of money doing merch, and so that's a good thing to do.
This one's for Lucas. How do you get noticed as an upcoming photographer?
Social media is a lot of it, I think. You shoot your shows, you submit your pics, post them up there, tag the bands that you shoot, tag even like the helpers of the band. If you like meet the merch person or something and you have a good conversation, tag them, tag the lighting directors, tag the sound mixing people. I've been able to shoot shows just super easy because I shot one show that they did. It was phenomenal lighting, so I just quick sent them a message or commented on their post on Instagram, be like, "Hey, I loved your lighting. You made my job fantastic. Like I will travel for your work to take more cool pictures." And they were like, "Cool, bet." And we just kind of worked from there. And then just reaching out whenever. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Nice. This one's for Jane. It's a little bit of a long one, so feel free to answer as much or as little as you can. But as someone building a presence in the electronic scene, what do you look for when booking up-and-coming artists for venues? Do you work with their managers and business representatives in negotiations with the artist? Or is the artist seeking you proactively and doing their best to persuade you? Can you detail the conversation between yourself and the artist? And is it about social media attraction, live energy, or uniqueness of their sound?
So I work with agents and with artists, especially with the size rooms that I book. So I'll have anyone reach out, and then, yeah, usually I'll listen to artists, but I'll just look at like their Instagram and see where else they've played, and then I mostly just make sure that they don't have like a lot of shows around the time for the date that they're asking. But as long as an artist is willing to put the work in, I'll give any artist a chance, because I think that that's important. And if they're reaching out, they're like trying at least. I don't know a ton about the electronic music. We don't do a lot of that. I have like some DJs, but if it's like EDM, I don't know. But for like house music and stuff, there's a lot of cool like house underground DJs and stuff. So just like finding those scenes and just like inserting yourself and talking to people.
Nice.
I think he has a question.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You're good. I have a question.
Yeah.
So, like, would you guys recommend any places for like up and coming musicians or songwriters here in the Twin Cities, either in person or online, to like find other people that are interested in like doing music, playing music live? Because I do a lot of songwriting myself and recording. We're roommates, so you sometimes hear me like playing my guitar or whatever. But like, yeah, I do a lot of like recordings at home. I do a lot of songwriting in general. I need a band. I just don't know where to look. Like, I've tried looking on Reddit, but like I can't like really find any music pages for like Twin Cities there.
Yeah, I don't know. There's like I guess that's a touring musicians thing. If you go though on Underground's website, I have like a booking help page and there's a spreadsheet of local artists and probably going on there that it has all their contact info and like Instagram. So I bet going on there and like reaching out, but I think just going to shows and just like talking to people. Yeah.
I actually know of a good place.
Oh.
Sociable Cider. You ever heard of that?
I was just gonna say them, yeah, or yeah, like I've seen some of their stuff and it seems cool, and or any other open mic nights.
Yeah, it's open mic every Monday at like 6 or 7 o'clock. I don't know. Lots of great artists that go in there, and they're all singer-songwriter type.
Don't they have like 5 or 10 minute slots that you can sign up for or something like that?
Sign up. You don't need to be an artist or anything. You can go and just perform, and then maybe people will say something to you or say something to somebody else.
Okay,
It's a
awesome.
great
Thank
little
you.
community. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, just so everyone on the live, if everyone is watching on the live stream, the question was places to meet other people in the music industry. So the next one is for Lucas. What does your work as a photographer look on a day-to-day basis? How does your process look from taking photos to editing them to getting them posted or published?
I guess the start of it is if there's a show I'm interested in, I'll just do the Googling of like whatever band's name, press contact, and then if it's easy enough, then it'll show up right away in the Google search. But there's a lot of times where it's kind of hard. Then you'll have to kind of use your Google foo a little bit further. Search for press releases. A lot of press releases will have a media contact listed on there that you can email. There's like look at something I found really nice with vinyl records is it's listed the marketing or the press people are listed on there. So I sometimes look at my old records and follow up on there to see if they're still current, and then email them. If I get lucky and get approved, then the day of, I kind of I work my day job, and then after I get home, I charge all my stuff. I charge my laptop so that it's ready when I get home, and then I go travel, usually downtown to whatever show I'm shooting, have fun, get my pictures, get home. I'm usually either really tired or I'm really excited, sometimes both. So I'll usually open up my laptop, upload my photos. Then I used to edit my photos from start to finish that night, just so I could get them, be that person that's done and get their photos up first. But I'm getting older and I want to sleep, so I'll at least upload my photos to my laptop and then kind of get back to them later on the next morning. Or if I'm still kind of excited and like jazzed up from the show, I'll go through and look at the headliner or whatever band I was going for shots at least, and then kind of pick and choose like a handful of them that I really like and maybe edit them. But then I'll just go to sleep and go back to them in the morning. Next morning, I'll edit the whole batch. I'll go through the whole batch and pick out all the shots from the openers and edit those, and then I try to, in the afternoon, post, I don't know, a handful. Like, it used to be like you could only do 10 pictures max on Instagram, but I don't do the more than that. I just stick to 5 or so. And then I start working on writing my review and then post it on there and let my editors take it from there.
Nice. So these next questions, I think both of you could answer, but any advice on how to connect yourself with larger artists?
I think I don't know, just liking their stuff. Like if you're an artist and you want to like play with someone or whatever, to just follow them on all their socials, to like their stuff, interact with them. But that's like the best way. Like if you're an artist trying to get on a bigger show, they like to put their friends on or people they know. Um, so yeah, just like following them, liking them. But I think that's the best way. Or just going up and talking to people. If you have like a business card, give it to them. But yeah.
For the photography side of things, if you're trying to shoot a big show, don't be afraid to shoot that email out there. You'll never like take the time. It can just be a few minutes to shoot that email, and you never know what can happen. I one of the shows I regret that I didn't do that because I didn't think I had any chance was the Taylor Swift's last concert. I didn't think I had any chance. It was the Vikings Stadium, too big. She's too big for me. I work for too small of a place, so I thought I had no chance. But then one of the shows, I have a friend. You make photography friends. You see them a lot over time. So I asked them if they were shooting Taylor Swift, and they're like, yeah, like I reached out and they approved me, and they even gave me a whole ticket. And I was like, what? Like I could have done that, and I was a little mad. But don't be afraid to shoot your shot.
So the next question we have is, how can you jumpstart your career in the music industry business? Sorry, how can you jumpstart your career in the music industry business / marketing wise?
Just post, go to shows, network. I think that's just the biggest thing is just knowing people and meeting people, and just people in the industry love to help out, like 90% of them. And if you like seem professional and good at what you're doing and passionate about it, someone will like help you more. But there's like, I mean, doing like Radio K stuff, there's a lot of cool stuff that they're doing, or like putting your posters up at like the Fetus and stuff. But yeah, just doing that stuff. Or if you're not a musician, you're like an artist, doing like vending places. Yeah.
I would say show up is half the battle. If you are a big fan of a particular artist and you just go to their merch table and see if they're there and strike up a conversation with them. Show them that you're interested in them. They'll be appreciative of you being a big fan of them, and you'll be able to start that relationship off right there.
Nice. This next one's a little bit of an interesting question, but I'm interested to see your guys' thoughts. It's how should we navigate a music career related path knowing AI will take over many of our jobs?
I think AI music sucks. So I feel like you can't really, like AI will get smarter and do more, and it definitely can be like helpful in like maybe fixing lyrics or like doing that. But if you like give it prompts and put it in for writing a song, it's really not good. So I feel like that shouldn't be an issue with like music wise. And even like the posters and stuff that AI will make, they all are pretty gnarly for the most part. So I feel like for like actual music and like people who are passionate about it and like know music, AI also is so hated in like the DIY scene that if you have anything to do with it, you'll get like publicly shamed. So I don't think AI will take over anything or like be like really a worry right now, at least.
This is tough for me because I think I use technically some AI tools in Lightroom. There's like the denoise tool in Lightroom is amazing, but I do feel a little bit bad for technically using AI. But like I do at the same time try to just use the sliders as much as I can instead, like learning that way so that I know what the denoise tool actually does.
Another one for a student. How can I balance my major and also make music my main source of income and job in the future? So how possibly could you balance a full-time commitment with something creative?
I think just making time. If you care about it, you can do it. I think people should know that you probably aren't going to make a lot of money making music unless you're doing like sync stuff. You can make money or like other stuff like that, or if you just really like do TikTok and make a ton off there, but you really don't make a lot of money in music. But I mean, if you work like the jobs that I have are really flexible. So like if I want to go to a show or play a show, I can go do that. Like I mean, I just left Fillmore to come do this. So I mean, just having like Trader Joe's is a good one too. But like if you work somewhere where they care about music and like people are interested in that, then being able to like get work off and do that. But I think just making sure you work somewhere where they're cool with it.
It's hard to talk about really the like a work-life balance, because like you technically, if you have a full-time day job, then you go to take pictures at a concert, you're technically still working, so that's a lot of worked hours. But at the same time, when I was working at a fast food place 40 hours or 50 hours more, and I was still getting that ability to shoot shows, I was putting in the hours like 3 days a week or so for concerts, but it still didn't feel like work because it was still stuff that I really loved doing. So like I might have been tired like body wise, but I was excited in my head that I was able to do all that.
Nice. And the last question we have here is, do you have any advice on internships or jobs after graduation? Possibly how to network?
There's a decent amount of internships, I feel like. Don't remember if First Ave still does it. But, I mean, if you do want to get into stuff, even just being like, hey, I just want to learn, and then, like, going and helping doing audio at a venue or, like, stuff like that. Or being like, hey, I'll be on your street team and, like, start there and working up, I think is a good way to, like, get your foot in the door. But yeah, just going to shows and being respectful and then just being like, hey, I really am interested in what you're doing. A lot of people will just be like, great, let's like get a cup of coffee and figure it out. Or doing like the stagehand kind of stuff. Like at Fillmore, we have a lot of like kids who are still in college or right out of college, and then they just get to like go build these sets and learn all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
My starting point off advice would probably be reach out to a small publication, small webzine. There's probably I guess I don't know how many there are, but I feel like there's a good amount of them there. If you Google search it, there'd probably be something. Don't be afraid to reach out to one that's not local. There's a lot of publications, webzines that like having people from all over the country so they can get more coverage on their website. And then I guess just also don't be afraid to kind of start it yourself. Start your own webzine and then reach out to those smaller bands to get that kind of a base, and then you can kind of build from there.
Nice. Well, those were all the questions I have. Do we have any other final questions? Last chance. All right, well, I think that's all I had. I think we can wrap it up here if that's all right.
Sure.
Or if you guys had any final thoughts or anything. All right. Well, thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. We'll have another one, I think, next semester, so keep on the lookout. And thank you for our guests for joining us today and sharing more about what they do.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.